Welcome to Counseling Conversations.
We are your hosts, Kyle, Carmel, and Christine.
This podcast is brought to you by the Illinois Counseling Association. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Counseling Conversations with Christine, Carmel, and Kyle.
Hello, we have a wonderful interview lined up for you today. We have the president of ACACI, that is Samantha Rivera, LPC. And we also have Heather Olsson, LCPC, who is the president-elect of ACACI. And they're going to tell us all things ACACI today. So thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourselves and what ACACI is.
Sure. So ACACI, so that everyone knows what we're talking about, is the Association for Child and Adolescent Counselors in Illinois. So we're a division of the Illinois Counseling Association. And a little bit about me. So I am a Mexican-American cisgendered woman. I'm a first-generation immigrant and first-generation college graduate here in the US. And so a lot of my experience and even my inspiration for becoming a counselor comes from that. My background in navigating different identities and kind of moving in between spaces, especially in my upbringing, I was in communities where I was often one of few people of color. And so trying to figure out who I was and advocate for what I needed. And so in becoming a counselor, so now I currently practice as a high school counselor, and I also work at a private practice seeing clients. So a lot of what I do focuses on how do we empower our clients to advocate for themselves, and where can I use their stories to further systemic change? Because I know that a lot of the systems in which we operate, especially working with BIPOC communities, weren't built with them in mind and other marginalized communities. So that's a lot of where my passion comes from.
And I'm Heather. I'm the president-elect of ACACI, and I am from the south side of Chicago, and I just recently moved to DuPage County, and it's very strange living in a very diverse neighborhood my entire life. And then going to Naperville, Illinois, where I work now, where everybody kind of looks and talks and walks like me. And it's a little bit boring, I have to say. I'm not picking up as many. I know words from different languages all around the globe, and now I'm losing all of my words, but it was really important to join an organization like ACACI and other organizations that I'm a part of and proud of, to bring different voices and experiences to different areas of our state. You know, we think of the Chicagoland area being the melting pot, as it used to be called when I was in school, and then it was more of a mixed salad where everybody had, you know, their unique experiences to bring to the entree, so to speak. And, you know, it's very important to be a part of organizations like ACACI, where we celebrate those differences and we embrace what brings us all together and what needs to change, and which is still continuing to keep us apart.
That's great. I like that. Well, thank you for those wonderful introductions, ladies. You just gave a really great example of why you became involved with the organization, Heather. Samantha, you also gave a great example. Have you guys heard from other people of reasons that they have gotten involved with this particular division?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, going off of what Heather was saying, is connecting with a community of other professionals that specialize in working with children, adolescents, families. It does take a specific skill set, I would say, and we all need each other. Often, what I've found is it can feel like working in a silo when you're in private practice, for instance. I mean, even in school counseling to an extent. Um, and so having other folks that you can bounce ideas off of, or even it's happened to me where either at the school or someone from ICA will reach out and say, hey, my daughter or my cousin's kid or whatever is struggling with X issue. Do you know anyone who might be taking clients right now? And so I think that network is a really big draw for folks to get involved.
Mm, great.
And I've noticed a lot that people are gravitate towards ACACI because it's so focused on children and adolescents, which is such a specialty, such a niche, right? You have to love the work, or you will never have the stamina to do the work. And in order to get that stamina, a lot of it is what Samantha was talking about, is reaching out to the network and saying, okay, I love working with these kids, but maybe these parents are driving me crazy. I love working with the parents and doing some coachings, and but these kids, they just don't listen, and then I got to clean up. I have 7 minutes to clean my toy room, so there's all of these things that if you work with children, you get, and adults, it's a different level of energy when you're working with adults. It's not easier. I'm not saying that. Please don't hear that. But it's just a whole different, there's no crawling around on the floor and your knees cracking when you go to stand up. You know what I mean? It's different.
It's amazing to hear both of you talk about your experience involving working with children and also seeking and searching community in regards to outside of your, day-to-day 9 to 5 or whatnot. So that's beautiful to hear. So we wanted to know also, what is the mission of your organization?
Mm. Yeah, so our mission is to enhance the quality of life for children and adolescents, and we really do that through providing that specialized training that Heather was talking about to counselors and those in the mental health professions. And so that people also understand the nuances that come with working with this population, with parents. And so both, counselors feel empowered and children and adolescents have access to quality mental health care.
Very nice. So both of you are in leadership positions in ACACI, president and then president-elect. What kind of inspired you or motivated you to seek leadership in this division of the organization?
I'll let Heather go first.
I was actually going to talk about you, Samantha. I think it's an easy answer to say why Samantha belongs in the leadership position. Um, that was an easy choice. She's so passionate about all aspects, right? The school counselor aspect, the private practice aspect, the outpatient, all of the aspects of working with this population. And then also the advocacy that it takes, the empowerment piece, the systemic changes, the barriers, and her executive functioning skills are through the roof. And you can't have a leader without the executive functioning skills because we're like feral cats sometimes, and she's got to rein us in, and usually I'm the ringleader. So she's really good at being like, okay, everybody, back to the agenda. Come on now. So I think it was an easy choice for Samantha to be our president this year. And I think for myself, I wanted to be next in line, one, to give Samantha a break from all of the hard work. I mean, her organizing just the day-to-day things for ACACI, but also for we have our conference coming up in March, which is super exciting. And now she's taking that on. So when the nominations came up and I said, okay, I'll throw my hat in the ring, it was a lot of it was like, let this poor person rest. Um, I can't offer executive functioning skills, but I can offer passion and excitement.
I know, I really appreciate your kind words, Heather. I genuinely am so grateful to work with you and the rest of our awesome board members. Um, again, like none of this, we can't do any of this work alone. And for Heather, it's interesting that you say that because I often feel like I think we make a really good team in that you offer these suggestions. And I'll be honest and say too that this is I've just completed my second year since I graduating from my graduate program. So I know I'm newer to the field, and it helps to have other folks who kind of have run conferences before, or who have attended many conferences before. And so as we're planning, it's like, oh, hey, I saw this person did this, or how about we do that? And so, yeah, I think for me, getting involved in leadership, part of it too was that mm, call to service, I guess, because with ACACI, there was an opening for president-elect, and I hadn't gotten super involved with the organization, but I knew that with my background, this is something I'd want to step into. And so when I saw that vacancy, there was something inside of me that was like, you know what? Let me just give it a shot. I had been the president of the Graduate Student Association at my for my master's program. So I was like, okay, maybe it'll be something like that. Like, let's give it a try. And I think there were unforeseen circumstances that kind of pushed me to the present role a little bit sooner than I thought I would be put into that role. But, I had a lot of support from the past president, Greta Nielsen, and yeah, and the board again, because it is a lot of work. And at the same time, I've just been able to learn so much and get to know these amazing women and counselors. So, yeah, I'm just grateful to be in that position.
Thank you for sharing that. So, who should or who can get involved with ACACI? Who would you recommend become a member of this division?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Awesome. We even have pool parties in the summer.
Yes, we do.
Sign me up.
No, I mean, we're always trying to get creative, the more people that are involved, the more things that we can offer because we love to lean on each other. You know, um, we have one board member who is amazing at newsletters. So she puts together these colorful, organized, beautiful newsletters. But that's something that she likes and she's passionate about. And, I'm more about the marketing things. So I like emailing people about memberships and hey, your membership is due. That was my dog. Bless you. Um, and then, there's such a wide net of hats we can put on to help out in an organization like a khaki that um it could be filled by people that have, 35 years experience, brand new interns, graduate students. We love talking about involving the youth themselves. I have enlisted my son to do the newsletter where he's going to do like teen talk, where you can talk to an actual teen, an actual adolescent, about issues. And this month's issue is about coming from a divorced family, what that's like from a kid's perspective, you know? So, Samantha has worked with our interns and, reaching out to high school students as well. So, I mean, really, it's an easy and hard question there's nobody we turn away. You want to be involved, you share our passion, come on board.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. And just talking to, speaking about our intern, definitely want to give her a shout out. She's a senior in high school right now. And I got connected with her through another member of ACACI. And she, from the beginning, was someone who stood out in terms of leadership. She started an Active Minds group at her high school. And when I reached out with the opportunity, she was like, yeah, anything revolving around mental health, that's what I want to do in the future. So I'm like, all right, great. Like and there's usually not an opportunity at the high school stage to really get an insider's look at what it what it really takes to be a mental health professional. So I know that she's really been a great asset to our team. All of our social media is thanks to Juliana. And yeah, so we love even providing that opportunity. Like, how do we almost build that pipeline of future leaders as well?
There's a lot of like cultivating happening here that is beautiful, because I didn't have that experience in high school at all. So I'm really enjoying hearing how the both of you are in the community connecting with the younger generation so that they are able to assist and heal, their future generation as future clinicians if that's something that they choose to do. So that's amazing. And those pool parties, they sound like fun. Speaking of, what are the benefits of being a member of a kaki?
You mean we can't just bribe you with pool parties? Um,
I mean, you can. I mean, you can.
Pool, those pool wings, those are encouraged. Those little blow up things, floaties.
Safety
Nice.
first.
Yes,
Absolutely.
safety
I can
first.
certainly be bribed with pool parties.
So that's one of the benefits.
Yes, and obviously a lot of professional development. We talked about the conference coming up. So yes, please save the date. It's going to be Friday, March 7th in Oak Park. And we have an awesome lineup. We'll have someone who is going to speak on how do you healing trauma through play therapy. Another workshop on projective cards. Another one on working with immigrant and refugee youth. Another workshop on with a lawyer. So talking about what are the guidelines and limitations and things like that. So lots of awesome content coming up. So definitely save the date for that. And depending on when this episode airs, we also have a workshop on December 13th on cultivating the lion mind. And because we felt really bad to turn away some folks who submitted their proposals to the conference, and we only have so much space. And so we reached out to the people who are not going to be presenting at the conference to see if they would still be willing to present on their own. And many of them were, obviously agreed to that. And so Stephanie, our presenter on the 13th, is one of those. And it's going to be a workshop on developing a mindfulness group for at-risk youth. So yeah, we're super excited and welcome folks to, if you're in the community and you have expertise to share, please reach out to us too. We'd love to hear from you and have you present. And if you just want to, if you've been struggling with something too, and you're like, hey, does anyone else feel like, for example, a very common thing that I struggle with is chronic absenteeism in high schools, kids just not coming to school. And if they're not at the school, how do we reach them? So talking about, maybe a topic around that, or featuring a program at Ascension that specifically targets that population of students. So if there's anything that you all would want us to feature, also let us know. We're really here to serve the community.
And I think, being somebody that's been in private, I've been in schools, private practice, I've been all over the place, right? But being in private practice, there's so many things that change law-wise, documentation wise, and there's no one-stop shop for me to get notified of these things. So being involved in organizations like ACACI for kids specifically, ICA, obviously, but being involved in these organizations helps me to keep connected to the updates that are happening. So the lawyer, for example, that's coming to our conference, they're going to talk about a new law change that happened in January that I wasn't even aware of until February, but that's another story. But it's how minors between the ages of 12 and 17, I'm sorry, in the state of Illinois, how their records are protected or not, depending on the wording you have in your intake paperwork. And so it's those types of things where it's, if I didn't even think to research something like that, it could have been months before I realized or heard through the grapevine. But because I'm involved in organizations like this, especially for children specifically, I'm more up to date on these changes, which is just, I mean, mwah, chef's kiss. It's just paramount.
Heather, I'm so glad you said that because I also am in private practice. And so I try to keep up with, and there has been a lot of changes this year in the law and the wording and things.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I think there was actually a few changes since January, like back and forth and back and forth. It is so hard to keep up with. Is that something that being a part of your organization that you get, you kind of send out in newsletters and notify people who are members about?
Well, we absolutely have the newsletters, but it's also the relying on the experts, right? I'm not a lawyer. I play one on
Mm-hmm.
TV and I love my Judge Judy, but I'm not one. So we reach out to lawyers to talk to them. We reach out to, I had a long conversation with what's his name, Jonathan Nye. He's an
Mm-hmm.
attorney that was at the Illinois Counseling Association's conference. So going to those conferences, being involved in the associations and reaching out to people that know not more than me, but different areas than me. And then we
Different
bring them
areas of
to a
expertise.
khaki to say, hey, teach us.
Yes, to tell everybody about it. So you offer
Exactly.
trainings and information. And honestly, I think information, like you said, it's really easy to be like get stuck in a bubble and not
Right.
know what's going on and not know the changes that are happening. So I love that you guys have opportunities for that as well. And so opportunity wise too, you two, obviously some big shoes to fill for leadership opportunities, but are there other opportunities for leadership positions in ACACI?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. We're always looking for folks to get involved and bring their skill set. There are different, I think that all of us have, just like in counseling, we bring our own unique lens. And so there are things that we may be missing. For instance, when I became president, my very first task was we need to update our website. I'm like, I can't look at this. This is from the early 2000s. It's just not doing it. And because I also knew as if we're going to attract a younger audience and also just make it more user friendly, that was one of the first things that we had to do. And I think that if someone else were president, they might have been like, nah, like that's the last item on the priority list. But, just to show that we see things from different vantage points. And so, I would love for anyone who is interested in this work to bring and share their gifts and ideas with us, and contribute in their own way, whether that's through a presentation, helping us plan for the upcoming conference and volunteer. I don't know, contributing to our newsletter. We've also had other ideas like wanting to do workplace spotlights. So, for example, at someone's practice, having a mini networking event that ACACI would sponsor, but then allowing that practice to really shine and talk about here's what we do, or here are the programs that we offer, um, things like that. So we're really open. I don't know, Heather, if there's anything you want to add.
Uh, no, that was so eloquent. And I just, with the conference coming up, I keep talking about it, but of course, it's been on the top of our agenda for a long time now. But, even something like that, if you want to volunteer to help with those types of events, so you can kind of dip your toe in before, signing up for an entire committee or something like that. but helping our intern work on social media, that's something as well. Just being a fly on the wall, you could also do that. Sometimes that's a little bit safer feeling, but there's also the added benefits of we don't have a formal mentor program or anything like that, but at last year's ICA conference, so 2023, somebody came to our board meeting who was really into sand play therapy. And I used to be the president of the Sand Play Therapy Association. And so now every once a couple of months we talk through things, we catch up, and it's having that again, that connection that we were talking about earlier. So even if somebody wants to be involved, they get to pick the level of involvement. We'll never throw you into the deep end. I take that back. We threw Samantha into the deep end, but we won't do that again.
It happens occasionally, right?
Occasionally, but we just saw it. She had a star just, surrounding
Always with
her.
support, always with support.
Great. Well, that is the consequence of walking around with a glow around your person, Samantha.
I appreciate that.
Well, ladies, is there anything else that you think our listeners might need to hear about ACACI as we bring today's discussion to a close?
Join us.
Where can they
And
where
we're
can they
looking for
join you?
everybody, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, every level of expertise, people that work with adults, but you're trying to learn how to speak to an adult about their child and adolescent. It doesn't matter. It's just we're small enough where we're able to have one-on-one conversations and exchange ideas, but we're large enough to have a pool of resources to pull from. It's a
Mhm.
lot of fun.
Yeah, and I will say too, one of the speaking about working with adults and maybe they have kids or etc. I feel like one of the things I was scared of when I was moving from working just with adolescents in the high school to working in private practice and having, working with adults. I thought, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to do this? And then I was like, wait a minute. These adults are behaving just like these teenagers. Like, there is no difference here. Or there's a lot of inner child healing that I've found when working with adults. And so these are, even though you may not work directly with children and adolescents, I think it's still valuable to know how to approach those different strategies, things like sand play therapy, that are still very applicable to working with clients of all ages.
Very nice. And if people want to sign up for the conference or even attend that training in December, where can they find that?
Yes, so it will be on the ICA calendar, or
Okay.
it is for the upcoming workshop and the conference. Registration should be going live in the next week or so. I'm kind of in back and forth emails with the ICA office. And we've also neglected to mention sponsorships. Oh my
Oh,
gosh. So yes, if you want to even be an exhibitor at the conference, or help contribute in that way, even donating promotional items that you want us to feature in our goodie bags that we give to participants. We will take anything and everything. So just reach out to us at ACACI site. So ACACI SITE at gmail.com. And you can also find us on our website, which is ACACI with ACACI, Illinois, but just one I. So ACACILLINOIS.com. And we'd be happy to connect with you.
that was impressive. I don't know if I could have spelled Illinois with all these people watching. That was impressive.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Samantha and Heather. And folks, those of you who are listening in, do not forget that ACACI has a workshop coming up on December 13th. And you can access that information on the ACACI website, which Samantha has just cited for you. That's ACACILLINOIS.com. And you can also email them at acacisite@gmail.com to get information on that workshop. And they also have a conference coming up next year, March 7th, 2025. And don't forget about those sponsorships. Thanks for listening in today. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you all.
A beautiful day.